Welcome to the Daily Crossing episode 28.
It's my favorite number.
28 is your number?
It is my number.
Are you suggesting that about 10 years ago you were 28? Is that what it is?
No, it's the date of my birth.
There you
yes,
go.
So that's why
Somewhere,
it's my favorite.
somehow.
It's my lucky number.
Great to see you.
Yeah,
Caramba.
good to
How you
see
doing?
you too.
How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Somewhere somehow you went to the Bahamas and you came back just to spell. What the hell
just
happened? Can you tell me this?
Little wider. You know what I mean? We were
Mrs. Starbucks.
Yeah, we were actually, having a conversation about that and said,
Better than this cup.
I said, at best, I'm going to get a little red. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
I know you can't see it, but I'm pretty dark right now. I see it myself. What's up, Alexi? What's going on, buddy? I got a few things that I want to share with you, you know what I mean, and everybody here. So, I don't know if you know this, but officially the Biden-Harris administration decided to find a different way to provide a loan forgiveness program. We're going to go into the details, but it's close to 1 million people, you know what I mean, over 800,000 borrowers, with which is going to be somewhere around $39 billion. So congratulations. I'm sure your student loan is probably being part of the
See
process.
what my note says here? LOL.
Alexi, your student loan is...
I never had any student loans.
We'll go back into that. Another little interesting situation that has been going around. It just keeps evolving, but I wasn't planning to say anything about this, to be quite honest with you, except for the fact that yesterday the Secret Service decided to shut down after the incredible amount of 10 days of investigation. They decided to shut down the understanding of how the bag of cocaine, with cocaine, I should say, not bag of cocaine, made it into the White House.
Pretty interesting.
This is the most secure building in the planet, right? With cameras everywhere. You mean to tell me somebody knew exactly where to put it back?
You can't even get in the courthouse with cocaine mixed up the White House.
You know what I mean? But we'll get back to that because there's a couple of
I
things.
wonder, Scooby-Doo, Papa.
And guys, probably the biggest topic of conversation out there right now, and we want to actually participate in that conversation for a number of reasons. I think that I see it also as part of our responsibility, especially because some of the people that are criticizing the project, we'll go over some of the things that are criticizing, and we'll go over who is doing the criticizing, which is kind of crazy. Sound of Freedom, you know what I mean? Is definitely an incredible story, you know what I mean, for many episodes and for many years. I've been talking about the crisis on the border, and I've been talking about this specific issue as something that's not that somebody told me. For the many people that I hate when they make an assessment about something that at best they saw from a movie, or at best they read it in a book or somewhere somehow, opposed to the people that really went through the process of witnessing some of the things that are being described in this movie, is incredible. So we want to do our part. We definitely want to go over some of the details about the movie, some of your biggest takeaways about it. And I think that we'll probably spend more time about anything else. But let's go back to this whole loan forgiveness issue. How do you feel about it? How do you what's your, who wants to?
I don't mind. I don't mind.
So if you had a loan right now, right? If you're at home and you get a little notification.
Say, I don't got to pay back.
Saying, hey, Lexi, even if you were like, burning, all the posters of Biden, Harris, and that little news comes to you, you happy?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I might go back to school. For another reason. Pick up another degree.
So you mean let me go borrow another 50?
There you go. Yep. Do it again. Do it all over again. So get a third degree.
Seriously speaking, though.
Yeah.
Is it possible that some of that would be triggered?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Is that a good or bad thing?
It's bad for the country, but I mean, good for the person who gets their third degree. They could be a triple major, master's or something like that. So I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it, but so like I said, I don't want to be the person paying for somebody else's school. But I don't mind being the person getting my school paid for.
Well, just based on that description.
Yeah.
Just based on that description. How are you feeling right about that? Listening to it.
Somebody who's going to have to pay for this school is probably going to be me.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I know.
Because I asked you earlier on, what I mean? Do you have a student loan? You said no. I don't. So if you're not getting the benefit of it, that means that you are paying for it.
Very true. Very true.
So I just want to check to see how.
So I feel like I should have thought about this. I should have been on the other side, but yeah, it happens that way sometimes. I don't know why.
If this is going to become a trend, then a couple of things can absolutely happen. More people will go to school. You do have a lot of professional school goers out there. Professional, like they don't want to ever stop, right?
Forever.
Now they say, "Wait, I'm debt free. Let me go borrow another." Because more than likely, 10 years from now, somebody else is going to do this again.
Correct.
So check this out though. This is, by the way, like, don't get confused. It's like for people that have been paying for 20 to 25 years, some of them fell through the crack, and these are the people that are being forgiven. So it's not like the whole enchilada being forgiven. It's supposed to be millions of people in the original package. So here's what I say to the Biden-Harris administration: great job, guys. You got a good accountant that was able to find the leaks, and they were able to plug the holes. That was about it. It's not really a forgiveness. What I find hilarious is the fact that some of the media is making it like this guy finally made it happen, and it's being blown up as such a thing that everybody believes that they came through in Underwood, and it's not necessarily true. They came through on the fact that the people that have been paying for the past 20 to 25 years, and they were supposed to be one of those, if you pay for X amount of years, they'll forgive a portion of it. That was what was fixed. That's why it's only less than $1 million, than a million borrowers, and it's only $39 billion. So it's still our tax money forgiving some of those loans, but it's not
all of them.
The big old thing that has happened. It's just, for me, the way that I look at it, and it could be an oversimplistic way of looking at it, is just great job, great accounting. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that was a program, you're 100% correct, that's been running for many years. And so this is the moment where they decided to execute in this way, but makes for phenomenal political headlines. You know what I mean?
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, you know what I mean? For a lot of people that, and by the way, there will be somebody that say, hey, 30,000, 40,000, that as long as I did my part, because that is the requirement.
Right.
You actually have people that went into an agreement about doing something for X amount of years. And those are the guys that, but that was supposed to happen to begin with.
Yeah, this was a policy that was put in place by another administration, God knows how long ago, and it's just fixed now.
But do we know how many actual borrowers there are? So like
804,000.
No, that's how many is being forgiven. So how many are there? Like, what percentage is that of total?
Probably, I don't even.
Is it less than 10%?
Probably.
That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming it's less than 10%.
Everybody under mother.
Correct.
Correct.
So
correct.
Yeah. So all right, it's not that big of a deal.
They give money away like drugs. You know what I mean?
And
so we can segue it also to the whole.
Well, they give drugs away like money.
So where they blow up a big statistic, right? They're like, they did it. They finally did it, Joe. And then.
But you gotta give them a lot of credit, though. You know what I mean? Like, I will tell you, I will always, forever and ever, give credit to Democrats. You know what I mean? Your friends, and that's still registered.
My people.
You know what I mean? Because they really know how to use the media. They know how to market. They're phenomenal marketers. They know how to sell it. They know how to get to the. They are looking for the emotional components. You know what I mean? They're looking for the things that is going to make you feel good about the whole conversation, even though at the end it barely does anything. And worse than that, it's like fixing a problem by creating another problem.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at the future, you're looking at a bunch of people saying, maybe I should go back to school and they're going to forgive it or something.
By the time the people that are expecting their student loans to be forgiven realize that they never got that email.
Never made the cut.
It's another. They voted yet another.
Or a specific group
election.
But that's my point, though. How many? If 804,000 borrowers and so go through that process of qualification. Think about how many more actually are looking at this whole situation saying, see, this is why I got to go vote for Democrats because in the future that's going to happen for me.
Right.
And that's all they were able to successfully. I mean, but again, listen, if the job is to market and sell your idea, and so they've done a phenomenal job, you know what I mean? Shame on the other groups and then the other people that don't want to keep
silent about this.
Exactly, and it's going to be very difficult. I keep telling everybody because I have a few friends that are saying, you know what I mean. So where do you, how are you consuming content these days? Where are you finding information? I said, to be quite honest with you, and I'm mostly going outside of traditional media. You know what I mean, and that doesn't mean that I don't see what's going on with that. Like I would check through apps. I would check through. I would once in a while a few people that I'm willing to put a few time watching their shows, see what do they have going on, what are they addressing, how are they going about it. But at the end of the day, guys, it's going to be podcasts and shows like this. Yep. You can list a group of people right now that are go-to that would be more, for lack of a better term, fair and balanced, right? Using what Facts likes to use. That I don't know where they're standing these days, but just to get what you're gonna find right now in the regular media is a bunch of people celebrating, but not really analyzing, right? What really happened? Is this really good? Did anything really good happen? And that's the unfortunate component. And because the other guys don't do enough of a good job pushing back and saying, let's break it down. Let's like, who gets what? And worse than that, who's paying for what?
I couldn't find a clip longer than 2 minutes researching this.
That's
and I know the news just broke, but it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's just, great job! Woohoo! And that's it.
You're 100% right. It's just a matter of time before a bunch of people who's still waiting for that email to show up saying, what happened? What happened to mine? I'm not part of the 804,000, so tiny little group. Guys, I want to address something that is just, it's extremely embarrassing though. It's like this whole situation. You want to go from embracing one of the beautiful things about our country. Our country love to see a comeback. Our country love to see, that guy that was going through hell but found a way back, and you know what I mean, was broken, devastated, and then we highlight these people. We'll make phenomenal stories about that. At some point, when the whole story about Hunter Biden was coming out, in the back of my head, I'm saying, this could be one of those, situations where you're saying, somebody that went through hard times, fell into. But
it could be the next Robert Downey Jr. Making an empire out of Iron Man.
What about that? That is probably the best comparison. That I don't know if you watched the movie Less Than Zero, and he is the main actor in that movie, and he's playing a junkie. He's playing And in the back of my head, I was like, wow, this guy is an incredible actor. He was already using a lot of stuff. And this is the days when crack cocaine is being introduced into the market, and how it's having an effect, and how a lot of, children, wealthy kids, were actually starting to use it. And he's playing that character, right? A wealthy family falling into that. But in real life, he went through that, in the process of recovery and so on and so on. So let me, full disclaimer, right? At this very moment, I am not suggesting that the cocaine that was found in the White House belongs to Hunter Biden.
No.
Scooby-Doo!
No.
I'm not saying that. It's very difficult to say that, without, having a hard time just saying it with a straight face, because it's the whole idea where there's fire, right? Or there's smoke, there's fire somewhere. Where there's certain things, if it quacks like a duck, it's just at some point though, in this scenario, it appears to be, right? And here's my issue with this young man. You're talking about somebody that for many years right now has remained that tornado that turns everything ups and down. I got to give his father, who most people are looking at this poor old man who's falling all over the place, I got to give him a lot of credit for having that much influence and for having the ability to manipulate just about everything and everyone, from the media to many of the entities that are supposed to look into situations like this seriously. And this guy has done a phenomenal job keeping everybody away. Looked at nothing to see, go the other way. I'm not addressing that. I was not there. I don't know what's going on. And everybody from the traditional media wants to sell you that as if that is a fact. You know what I mean? But not only to find, a bag with drugs going into. But this is not the first time.
Right.
This is the Secret Service already confirmed that this is actually the third time that they find drugs inside the most heavily guarded building in the planet. And what if that would have been something, let's see, what else comes that is dangerous in a white powder type of, anthrax, right? Weren't we freaking out at some point that that little bit of powder was showing up in different places? How do you explain it? What's your guys?
So,
what's your honest opinion? To be
Here's my
honest with you?
honest opinion. I don't think it has to be Hunter or I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. And what I believe is a lot of people do drugs, right?
Don't stop laughing.
I'm not gonna laugh. A lot of people do drugs. I will say it is somebody who is in a position of authority whose drugs it is 100%. So it could be one of the security guards. It could be one of the people who should be checking people. They themselves got a drug problem. So unfortunately, in a facility, like this,
you can't even get through TSA with like a damn bottle of lotion.
No,
big
you
enough.
can't. You can't.
What the?
But if I work for TSA, I can do whatever I want. You just show your badge, you walk on through. They don't check them. Like, think about it. When I'm online, I got to take off my shoes. But the person who works for TSA, they just show their badge, they walk through. So I know it's somebody with a badge. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's the pilot, but I know it's somebody with the badge who it has to be. There's no other way around it.
Got it.
Well,
it has to be.
Okay, so I get that, and I'm just like you. I'm willing to give it, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
How do you lose it?
That kind of stuff you don't lose.
That's what I'm saying. So it's how do you lose something
that is something that
like
you
how you
put
leave money in your
when
laundry.
that you put somewhere when you feel that somebody is about to check you.
Correct.
You're about to get cut.
Yeah.
And so somebody said, I see that little corner. I don't see the cameras pointing that way. Let me see what. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually surprised that there is a little corner somewhere in the White House. But there is no camera pointing at.
Can I tell you something? Here's where I'm at. The same clip remember that I told you the student loan thing? I couldn't find a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a 3-minute clip that I found. And I'm like, this is where it's going to be. Half of the thing, like a minute and 45 seconds, was related to the student loan thing, edifying it. The other 45 seconds left of the whole enchilada was about the little, tiny, small little baggie that was found. It was so tiny, the little baggie, that there wasn't enough.
For all of us to get high.
Enough for you to collect information. And I'm like, so they edify the crap out of something. Like, I'm done with the media. It's like so ridiculous. It's like.
I just feel like we should apply this all the time. So then, if they happen to find something in my house and it's just really little, tiny, it should just disappear after 10 days.
People go to jail.
Yeah, but that takes me to my real point, though, because listen, innocent until proven guilty, right? Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm willing to give anybody, the benefit of the doubt because but there's no DNA traces on that bag anywhere. There's no fingerprints anywhere. You know what I mean? And unless you are real sophisticated, saying, I'm going to carry this back using my gloves, and I'm not going to touch it. Because at some point, somebody took that out, and you have to have something that wouldn't allow for fingerprints. And here's the other issue, though. The investigation is closed in 10 days. Which if you go to the Guinness record, and you probably would realize this thing will qualify for a record-breaking type of situation. Hey guys, I want you to think about any legal issue or any potential scenario. There was a real investigation by professionals that are supposed to safeguard, not Miguel Caminero. They're not supposed to safeguard, you know what I mean? A couple of people, not you, not the president of the United States. And you mean to tell me in 10 days, we went through it. We got nothing to see here. We don't.
Yeah.
That is the
Not a
part that
single
I'm
person
having.
of interest.
Because here I find myself in a very difficult situation, right? Because out of the many entities within law enforcement, and I have a lot of respect for all of them. Having a hard time with the FBI, but I have a lot of respect for everybody. Secret Service has always been to me like at the top is like the whole idea that
jumping from
you're willing to
bullets.
take a bullet for the
Yeah.
president, right? And right now everybody's like, well, listen, we're willing to take a bullet for the president. We also gotta take maybe we're
Okay.
gonna hide a little bit from the other side. That's what because what happens. This is a comment that Andrew Tate makes about the people that have the ability to. This goes back to when Nancy Pelosi's husband gets arrested for drinking and driving, right? And anybody else would have done X amount of times, a very high fine, so and so. He gets off with definitely no time, little bit of a fine, done and over with, right? And so Andrew Tate's argument was that the difference is that in a country like Romania, the threshold for situations that would be questionable, bribery in South, are much lower than it is in a country like United States.
Okay.
And for a moment, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And but then he goes,
Meaning you can bribe yourself out of a ticket.
He said, in a country, and by the way, that
And not get in
it
trouble.
made a lot of sense, put me right back into my, if they pull you over in Honduras, traffic stop,
You want
it's not,
breakfast?
you didn't do anything, it's like, guys, I didn't even know that you were still working. You better start the
Yeah.
conversation with, hey, you don't do, hey, why did you stop me here?
Yeah.
You're like, guys, I didn't even realize that you were still out here. You had a drink, can I get you a couple of drinks? Here.
Yep.
And you keep going. Nobody's going to stop you. That's a low threshold for
Gotcha.
bribery, right? Meaning everybody and anybody has access to get himself out of a little situation at any time. In here, you better be at those levels to be able to get clear. And that's the part that is really troubling, though, because you're talking about whether you like it or not, you are creating second classes, you know what I mean, or second class citizens, where only one class is the protected, and it has nothing to do with being white, has nothing to do with being wealthy, has everything to do with being political, specifically a Democrat.
Party.
Oh man, but anyway, unless you have any concern about any of the other
Don't be
bags
walking
and all
around
that
with no
stuff,
baggage
then-
because our asses is going
Yeah,
to jail.
don't go around putting it on top of the dashboard saying, you know what I mean?
Well, I voted for Biden, so it doesn't matter. If that's gonna get me off, then
Right.
I'll take it. I'm joking.
It finally came
My
out.
God.
Yes.
You know.
Finally came out. Anyway, guys, listen. The main thing that I wanted to talk about today was this movie, The Sound of Freedom. I want to get your take. You know what I mean? Let me tell you some of the things that we do need to know about it. You know what I mean? Before you go into it. Definitely an unexpected surprise for mainstream people, and critics. Because to be quite honest with you, the moment that I knew what the plot was all about, and the moment that I knew who was going to be playing the character, I said, this is going to be a phenomenal movie, right? And then everybody was already talking about the quality, how well made it was. Before it was released, there was people, even Jordan Peterson interview Tim Ballard, and this is way before the release, you know what I mean, after it takes place. So he made a number of mentions about the quality of the movie and all this stuff. And so opening day gross $14.2 million. And as of this moment, it's all the way up to like 50 million, and the opening day doesn't count for weekend, right? But the biggest weekend this would have been the number one movie, except for the fact that Tom Cruise put Mission Impossible. That and but if you're competing against Tom Cruise, you're
Or a
doing
Mission Impossible,
or a
for that
Mission
matter.
Impossible
Yeah,
movie. You're actually doing very well. So to come second to that, this is a movie that for many years was in the making. Was actually fully done 2018, and was done through Fox Latino, was the absolute owner of the rights to the movie, and then Disney ended up doing a full acquisition of anything Fox related.
And it didn't fit the agenda.
Obviously they decided to not put the movie out there, and you know. The director of the movie gives a lot of credit to a couple of individuals, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to mention their description again because he didn't mention them by name because I will assume that they're still part of Disney. But they were instrumental helping negotiate the release of, you know, because at some point we're like, let us have the movie. Well, you owe us this. They called it even at some point because they probably didn't really believe that anybody was going to help them put it out there, right? So they're making noise, they're talking about this idea, they're talking about the movie, and they are literally hoping for an angel to show up. And guess who shows up? Angel Studios, right? And they literally now at that point they said, we're willing to do it, but we're willing to do it only if the movie's released 4th of July. And at that point, they're freaking out because there's only like not a lot of time in order to make it happen. Like we were thinking September because September 15 is the Mexican, the main producer and the director are two very well-known Mexican actors and directors. And so they were thinking, September 15 opposed to 4th of July. They said, no, we're willing to do that. And there's a moment of hesitation at some point. Angel Studios go, look, how many people are knocking on your doors to put this movie out? Like, we're willing to go do the work to make sure that we believe in the movie, but we believe that, and they knew, man, everybody was freaking out because they knew that we're going to be competing against none other than Indiana Jones. By the way, this movie cost less than $20 million to make.
14, yeah.
$14 million. Less than $50 million.
Yeah.
You know how much money cost to make Indiana Jones?
No.
$200 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
$200 million. And this movie ended up ranking ahead in opening day than Indiana Jones. So now, the flip side to
I
it.
didn't even know an Indiana Jones was coming out.
Already, that's the funny thing. It's like, critics out there, probably the toughest, heaviest, worst critic article that has been put out there was done by Rolling Stone, calling the movie essentially a conspiracy theory type of belonging part of groups that promote, especially connected to right-wing conspiracy theories. And then we have also, just so that you know, a little highlight here. Former President Trump is set to host a screening of the movie. You know what I mean? Okay. And at his location in New Jersey, this should be happening actually this week or is happening next week.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps or just makes the criticism of the movie in terms of right-wing conspiracy type of situation.
You see.
What do you? I want to open it up. I just want to get your feedback in terms of your experience. I know that you were probably one of the first ones that went and watched the movie.
Yeah. So for me, I seen the movie. I think it was the first weekend it opened, if not the following weekend. But yeah, it's one of those must-watch movies. It's one of those movies where it's like, you don't want to watch it, but you need to watch it, just because it's a true story, and it's one of those things that I think that everybody needs to be aware that it's going on. And for whatever reason, I spoke about this last time, reading is great, but it's just something about a movie when you see it does something different to where it's like if I tell you a story about, oh no, you don't understand, it was a fight that happened. Versus, no, I got the video.
Yeah.
And you see the video, certain things, I think because we're normal people, we won't allow our brain to do what is actually being done. You get what I'm saying? Like, you won't allow yourself to picture what's happening when I tell you, oh no, the guy got beat up bad.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as bad as, no, when you see it now, it's like, oh, wait a minute. My brain couldn't even think of something that crazy. You get what I'm saying? So then I think sometimes when you see a movie, and they did a great job of, it wasn't graphic as far as, like you want to leave the theater, but they did enough to let you know what was happening. So I think.
But by the way, they did that intentionally
Yeah.
just to be able to allow people to finish watching the movie, and also not to be taken down or
correct.
shut down altogether. And so there was only enough that went into it, so that people will be able to digest what's coming their way. You're not an emotional guy. You're very stoic and your approach about many things. But you watch a movie like that, though, did you find yourself at times feeling even a little emotional?
So like I said, for me, no, not so much. But I mean, a lot of people was crying in the theater.
Yeah.
If anything, if there was any emotion that I got, it was more angry.
Yeah.
Where it's like I didn't get sad.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about
yeah, I'm not gonna cry.
What kind of emotion?
If anything, I got angry just because of two reasons. Number one, the fact that I didn't know as much as I should have known about the topic. I'm like, there's almost like you found out that slavery happened yesterday. It's like, why didn't I know that this was going on for 400 years? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I felt more angry that I didn't know more about the subject. Then I felt like, okay, well, there has to be something that I can do about it because it's going on today. That was the big thing for me. It was like, even when I learned about slavery, it's like, okay, this happened 100 years ago. But no, this is going on now. Like right now as we speak, this is happening. And we talk about it on the podcast all the time, about what's going on at the border. And this is connected to the same situation where it's something going on now that I think we can do more to, number one, spread awareness of what's going on. And then the more awareness we spread, then we can start taking steps towards figuring out what could be done to stop it altogether. So if anything, like I said, it made me a little mad, but I think it's still something that everybody needs to see so that they know what's going on.
Would you recommend it?
100%. I think it's mandatory. I think everybody needs to watch it.
How do you feel about the process of, people paying it forward right now, right?
Yeah.
Like you can literally right now, anybody can go and watch this movie for free.
Yeah.
And hopefully you also will become part of a group of people that will contribute for somebody else to be able to see it.
So I agree. I agree with that. Also, I'm actually bringing a group of people to the theaters, and in the movie itself, they talk about on purpose making people watch it in theaters. Just because when you do it at home, you can pause it. You can go get some, go use the bathroom. You're not going to be focused the way you would be as in a theater. And then also you're now sharing the emotions of everyone in the room. So like on purpose, they want people to see it in theaters. So we're taking a big group this weekend coming up to the theater. So so I agree. So it's not just paying for somebody, because you don't want to give somebody a ticket and they may or may not go. No. Grab your friends and be like, all right, we going next week. We're gonna go. So that's what we're doing. Yep.
Phenomenal.
I haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet. For other reasons, but we'll get into that later, right? I did watch an interview that was done with one of the producers, Eduardo Verastegui. And man, but number one, this guy is a phenomenal storyteller. I was biting my nails watching this guy walking us through the process of how this movie almost never made it out. And how they had to negotiate. A couple of things that he highlighted: the fact that they made a lot of enemies in the process, and that the people that are wanting to keep this process down is probably because they're culpable of what exactly is happening right now. So there was a lot of stuff about Epstein Island and stuff like that was being brought out. By your affirmation, I'm assuming that they specifically spoke about that, or they made
no, not so much.
Not so much, but it makes sense. Okay. And the other thing is the reaction of the media. Again, my trend today is the freaking media, because you have the Rolling Stones and you have the New York Times putting forward stuff that says This is if you're a conspiracy theorist, if you're old, nobody that's young is talking about it. It's just, if you don't have a brain, you'll go watch it, and you're one of those like tin hat type of people. That's what they're saying, basically, on the reporting. These are the same people that a year ago were talking about it's not a big deal to watch the whole Cuties movie, series or whatever the hell was happening on Netflix, which has children, like, straight up, like, twerking, and it's like, but that's okay, but you cannot watch a movie that talks about child trafficking. Like, what the hell is going on? Correct. And how can anybody be okay with that? It's like, it's your job is to be a journalist. Your job is to report. Can you freaking not be so biased or so bought out and like talk about something that is literally happening right now? What you said is so important. You said slavery happened 100 years ago. This is happening today. This is happening right now, and everybody's just trying to put a blanket over it. What the hell? I understand, but it's like,
to the extent of the ugliness of a history that most people don't know, is or not paying attention to it 100%. The question is, on terms of this phenomenon that's taking place right now, on terms of you said something extremely important in terms of the criticism that is taking place, and they're trying to downplay even the quality of the audience watching the movie by saying it's a bunch of old people that are going in there and everybody's conspiracy theorists. The fact of the matter is that TikTok, Instagram, Facebook is right now, they don't even know what to do with the amount of young people saying, you got to go see it. I don't know how to use my platform. I want to do something about it. I want to participate about it. I think that's essentially a pushback, right? And it's truly the only way to balance out the narrative. You know what I mean? Because what you said is extremely important. And also, you got to go back into this freaking agenda. Like, I'm struggling. Guys, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. I cannot understand how certain entities, who are you trying to protect when you're trying to downplay something that is
bag of cocaine in the White House.
Evil. So, but can I tell? No, but wait a minute. Wait. Can I tell you? Wait. I let me be cynical enough to say I can understand the bag of cocaine. You want to hide it. You want to protect because you want to protect the other person. I can somewhere somehow make sense of that. Yeah. Horrible thing for the country. Horrible PR for the White House. But I can truly understand why they protecting that. Why are you protecting this?
I can tell you why.
Why are you trying to hide?
Simple is because it's not simple. It's actually complicated. My belief is because of this. Unfortunately, this is like real slavery happening today, but it's slavery with the weird twist on it, where it's specific to children and specific to them having sex with them. You get what I'm saying? Where it's not like, I want you to cut my grass and pick my cotton. No, I want to use you as a sex slave. You get what I'm saying? And unfortunately, it is wealthy people, not always, but a lot of the times that are the customers for these things, which is why they had things like Epstein Island, where they have somebody who can afford to travel.
And that, by the way, that's not the only island.
Absolutely. That's a bunch of
Well, in the interview, they said that they caught like a whole ring of something happening in Colombia, which was where the movie was, because they were trying to be
children from Honduras.
To Colombia. Yeah. And the guys were, because they were Americans, they were trying to entice them to come in and buy into the whole process. Turns out that these guys were producing the movie and they shut it down and they made like a big raid or something like that.
And that's the whole point, is that unfortunately the people who are the biggest customers for things like this are people who got a lot of money. And then so those same people who have a lot of money, they have the money to influence governments. They have the money to buy certain entities, whether, you're talking about people who should be protecting people, they can now buy them. So then now there's not the same push to shut it down because they don't want to lose their funding. That's the truth of the matter. I don't want it to be where if I now make this a big deal, people start actually paying attention to, wait a minute, who's actually making this happen, or who's somebody who's contributing to this, and it ends up being the same person who funded this last election on some level. You get what I'm saying? And that's the truth of the matter. And then so that's why it's such a big deal for them to not make it a big deal, is because they don't want it to be where certain names come out or certain groups come out as far as who's doing them.
Can I throw something
Yeah.
in there? Because this is so important. This is why it's so important for you to make money. This is why it's so important for
Correct.
you to be wealthy, right? Because it's like if you're a person that has great values and principles, that you're aligned with, just freaking just normal human decency.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I mean? It's like you are the person that needs to have the money so that you cannot be freaking bought out. You know?
And,
So it's like,
and just I gotta say this, I shouldn't have to, but I'm not saying all rich people.
right.
That's not what
No,
we're
it's
saying.
like, but
We're
we
saying
need
that-
more of us
we're
making
saying
money.
that the people who are doing it are in a position of wealth and power, which is why they don't want
You gotta
people
tip
to
the-
know.
Well,
Tip the scale.
Correct.
but in addition to that, I mean, listen, there's a couple of things that I want to highlight, right? I am deeply grateful about the movie coming out because this has been part of the essential conversation that I've been having through this channel, right? Talking about many of the things that are actually happening at
Crossing
the border.
I mean, you saw
You know
it.
what I
You
mean, some
lived
of the
it.
stuff, exactly. And again, that's something that I read from the book. Very difficult to communicate that to somebody, up until the point that, like, literally the other day we were discussing, hey, we're gonna have to go down there, go to with a camera, go and get a few interviews and see if we can showcase. And it's extremely dangerous. You know what I mean? This is you have to understand that there is a full economy that has been developed behind these things. No different than drug trafficking.
Correct.
You know, the trafficking of people, especially children, is, as a matter of fact, in some cases, just as much or even more profitable, right? Because I give you a bag of cocaine, you used it, you already went through that, and now you're going to go buy another one. But in this case, I can sell you over and over and over the same child, right? And so, and you have some people that are so desensitized, though. The person who's grabbing somebody, right? Because you're talking about two different issues here. There are people today, and one of the disgusting things about what Rolling Stone was suggesting is like, they're making it seem like people are grabbing people from Target's parking lot. Yes, that's essentially happening these days, because if you go, listen, how many times you see in a light pole, in a corner, a little missing person, flyer, right? That's a real child that
Bulletin
belongs
boards,
to all over the place, constantly looking for Facebook, everywhere, constantly announcing somebody's missing. So it's obviously happening, right? Now, it happens two different ways, though. One of them is there is a sick person who needs some kind of help somewhere, somehow, and life already went south to the point that they're going to do something at that level. They're going to grab a child, they're going to do something. Most of the time, these things don't even end well. That means somebody... that person not only gets victimized, raped, taken away from the family, they also get to be killed, right? Because how do you let somebody go, right? But there's a difference between that sick person to another level of sickness, which is the person who's already desensitized, knowing that what they are doing no different than as if they were hunting for animals or searching for specific something to hunt. They are grabbing children to take them to other places, knowing precisely why they're doing it. And this takes me back to, and this is one of the reasons why, among the many reasons why Jordan Peterson has such an impact in my life, is he went on, guys, you remember the movie Schindler's List, right? And in that movie altogether, there is a description of everything that takes place. It's a horrible thing to watch. It's a horrible thing to witness. And he went on to talk about a group of average, regular police officers that were moved from one area. This is not the hardcore soldier that went through. They just did regular guys that went in there. And eventually this group of average, in many cases at some point considered decent people, became the same people that were guarding, keeping away, and essentially helping other people be killed, right? And the question became that, how is it that a normal person,
Yeah.
can you do that? Can you become that person? And said, and if you don't understand the level of evil and darkness that is out there, then you really don't understand how real life works. You know what I mean? Because there's unfortunately a lot of people, that's what you have right now. A lot of people that are saying, this is not a child. This is a product.
Commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I gotta go grab and I gotta sell it for the best possible price. And so you have what should have been normal people now becoming part of something extremely dark. They can detach themselves as much as they want to, but the fact of the matter is that's what's taking place. So the many conversations that I had about the border, things that are taking place, this is one of them. And I was talking more because I was actually expecting a little bit of a better reaction if I was referring to, because talking about a child is such a taboo, but so I was referring to what happens to women, right? And because the statistic says, 3 out of 10, it's not 3 out of 10. I promise you it's not 3 out of 10 because I was in a refugee camp, in a refugee home, and it was 8 out of 10 that came in talking about how they took them into a prostitution place, drugs gave them, literally they had to escape from those environments. While on the way, anywhere from the coyote to the house that they were kept for a couple of nights, that all of that becomes part of the story. So I'm thinking hopefully somebody's going to, I'm extremely surprised that very few people even made a comment about it, right? And that reminds me something that and this goes for everybody. Listen, I'm not judging anybody, but the fact of the matter is that one of the reasons why I'm extremely respectful about the real man, not just the character that's being played out in the movie, right? Because Jim Caviezel is this guy is already outside of the Hollywood elite, even though he's a phenomenal actor, right? He doesn't talk that much about The Count of Monte Cristo, which is probably considered one of the top 10 best movies ever, right? Obviously, The Passion, we know everything that went on before to get it done and during the process. And now this movie carries a little bit of the Godfather style, the Michael Corleone. Almost don't say much. The sound of it, you really got to pay attention. Everything from simple gestures, body movement, and it's not very talkative. Wouldn't you agree? Right? It's just they're just following, and so he does a phenomenal job playing the character. But here's what I want you to know: the real guy, the Tim Ballard, who right now is also being put through the mud, accused of propaganda, accused of this is a guy that is putting his life on the line. And I'm asking the people that are criticizing him, what the hell are you doing of any worth or any kind to better humanity, just to improve anybody's situation? This is a guy that's putting his life on the line out of every single situation. Now even worse, because now everybody really knows who he is. He went from being an obscure individual that can go walk any place, you don't know who he is. Now everybody knows exactly what his face looks like. So he's got to be even a lot more careful. This is somebody that's literally putting his life on the line. I respect the fact that his wife was 100% supportive. I respect the fact that somebody makes a choice of having such a meaningful life, right? To say, man, I'm going to commit to doing this. This is what my purpose. And by the way, here's one thing that everybody kept using. And it's almost in religious environments that you see that. They said, I am doing this because I felt that it was a calling. I was called to do this. The director of the movie and the brothers, you know what I mean, that we felt like we were called to do this. Obviously, Caviezel, who is a very religious man, said, I felt that I have to do this because I felt that I was called to do this. He said, and the hunting statement, the phrase at the end, God's children are not for sale, right? Which right now is trending everywhere. But Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and around those days also of the Holocaust, says silence in the face of evil is in itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. And so what I love about this movie, the reason why I wanted to take this time also, I want to become part of a group of people that is going to maybe in this case we can get a little more attention about the fact that this is something that we've been talking about. And sometimes we got to take all the topics that will be a lot less relevant to things that really matter to me when it comes to this kind of situations, and make them part of a conversation. So hopefully somebody will connect to that and will pay attention to the underlying core of the message, which is, many of the problems that we have going on, the fact that we are the net consumer, the highest net consumer of drugs, the highest net consumer of children trafficking, and the highest net consumer of pornography.
Children.
Right? And especially also in that segment of children pornography. Not to do anything about it, because at some point, the Bible has many hunting phrases, but there's one that says, once you have seen the face of God, you will perish. And what the face of God is knowledge. Once you have the knowledge of something, you can claim, I didn't know anymore.
Yeah.
You at that point you're making a choice. Either do I stay quiet or I say something. I don't want to stay quiet. Yeah. I want to thank you actually, guys, for wanting to be part of this conversation, because I know that this is not an easy conversation. You can have some people that will probably ask you, why are you getting involved with this kind of conversation? And I mean, this is not, and it's a conversation that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I don't want to be silent, because I think that it's part of our responsibility. I highly recommend people go watch the movie. Yep. You make up your own mind. You decide if you actually want to. And by the way, I'm inviting you to also make your own little video about it. Whether you want to criticize it, even if you believe that the movie was not a good movie. Yeah. But if you believe that something good is there, that people need to see it, for the people that are actually sponsoring tickets for other people, this is, there are moments where you find, like, humanity gives you hope, right? That, like, you find, like, man, there's still hope that we can find a way to do certain things. Moments like this when somebody's saying, you know what, I'm going to pay it forward. Yeah. So if you have the ability to not only go watch it, don't just take advantage of the fact that you can see it for free. See if you can help somebody else to go, who actually do need to, because they really don't have the money to go see it for free. I cannot wait for this movie to go international. Right now, we still pretty much only playing it at a national level. I cannot wait for this to become a movement. I cannot wait for the follow-up of this movie. And I hope this becomes anywhere from a series to I know that this already talks about the follow-up and what's next for this movie. I cannot wait to see it, but I'm deeply grateful about it. You know what I mean? So,
460,000 children go missing in the United States alone. I looked up that statistic. That's over 1,000 kids a day. That's just freaking crazy. And that's just in the United States
this
alone.
Is inside of the country where we actually have the ability to track. Right. And there is a reporting system, Alexi, where there's a reporting system. I want you to think about countries where there is no real reporting system, where, you're talking about very isolated parts of the countries where, it's very simple people that don't have the level of communication or the skills, and children are just taken away from them, to never see them ever again.
That's crazy.
And along the journey, for people that are hoping, think about people that are looking for that American dream, right? They're hoping that they're going to be able to do something special. And I'm talking about, mothers that will make that journey with the children. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they want to put the children at risk, it's that they have nobody to care. It's the only way. Like, we're going to have to do this together. And along the way, mother goes into a prostitution center, and the child disappears. Now we know, in many cases, what could be one of the reasons. And the most obscure part about it, outside of the sexual component, which is already extremely evil, is the organ market that is like.
Yeah, once they're done with it, it's like, I'm done.
We're gonna dispose you. They kill. They remove organs. They sell them in the black market out there. That alone, it's time for all of us to just get involved and do something about it. You know what I mean? It's extremely and the only reason why I made a reference when you said, because that's extremely important. You know what I mean? You're for many years not to understand how dark was the history of slavery, right? And also to ignore that has been going on for thousands of years. That unfortunately that sick way of dealing with things, whether for financial reasons or just for people that at some point felt superior than the other person. But in addition to that, guys, there's another aspect of that. Is that today we are doing a phenomenal job ignoring the amount of slavery that's still going on in so many places on the planet.
Yeah.
So we didn't pay attention to that. That was history, but we still do a phenomenal job ignoring what's taking place even today, whether it's slavery, this kind of traffic. So with that, guys, if you have any final comments about any of this that we have as a conversation, this will be the
only thing I will say is this. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't realize where we are, not only as a country, but as a planet, right? And what it is we're in some of the best times ever, as far as what we have the capabilities of doing. But just because we have the capabilities of doing so awesome, that doesn't mean everybody is doing awesome, And as you're talking, what I realize is that it's gonna sound weird, but where black people are today is we've come a long way from where we were, 400 or 500 years ago. But then there's still a lot of people that are experiencing the world how black people think we're experiencing it, but we're not anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people where they have zero possibility of having a voice because no one is representing their communities, and they have whole countries like that.
Correct.
Do you get what I'm saying? And then so we got to know that this is still the case, and even though we're in a great position, like I said, not everybody's in that position. So the best thing we could do is exactly what you said, which is we got to have more of us who actually care about the right things to be successful, to make a difference in a way that we want to see, So I'm just privileged to, number one, be in America, which is crazy. We don't realize how much of a blessing that is. But I'm also privileged to be in a situation where I can create my own destiny, and we're gonna use this power, hopefully with a lot of you guys, to make a difference in a way that makes sense.
What I will do as a closing remark is pay attention to Angel Studios. I mean, if you resonated with the movie, I was actually I've known about Angel Studios for a little while. There is a children's show called The Turtle Twins, and I freaking love it because they talk about capitalism, entrepreneurship, the consequences of inflation and all of that stuff. So. They're not just because you look at the things that they're putting in front of children today, and that's also part of the way that children get groomed to be taken. It's very easy for that to happen. I love what this studio is making, and and the whole platform that they have is if you are in a place where you can fund for somebody else, fund it for somebody else that maybe doesn't have access to this. So, it's awareness and you doing something about it and not staying silent. But your phenomenal quote, and it's 100% true. So that's where
my first recommendation is going to be obviously go watch the movie. Don't do it by yourself. Don't go watch it by yourself. You need a witness. I love that idea that you can troubleshoot it and you can process with the other person immediately, even though it may not be an easy conversation coming right out of it. But that also will continue moving the conversation forward. Second of all, my recommendation, because I'm finding this extremely healthy, is do take the time to make a little bit of a message. You know what I mean? Hopefully more than anything else, recommending for other people to go watch the movie. And for anybody that happens to be in a financial position to continue to pay it forward, I'm inviting you to do that, because a lot of times some of this, you got people with a family making a choice, especially if you have children and you only get to go to the movies, once in a while. You're thinking about, okay, I can't take my children to that, I can only take them to this other movie that might be less relevant. So for somebody to be able to just walk in there, not necessarily with what would be a family event, but just the children. I am taking, you know what I mean, even my youngest, you know what I mean, she's already 19 years old, but to make sure that they can see this, because this is part of things that are really happening out there. Let's not be silent about it. Let's not stay quiet. Unfortunately, this is something that is taking place on a daily basis. We need to pay attention to what's going on at our borders. This assignment literally starts by this man being sent across the border. The first assignment is like, hey, this is going on. You're gonna have to go into Mexico. He is very fluent in Spanish, and that's how he ended up in that assignment. And today, Tim Ballard, we salute you for putting your life on the line. We salute you for making the choice of having such a meaningful life and putting everything, not only your life, but at some point even your economy. I hope you get nothing but a million blessings from everywhere, and I hope that a real movement comes out of this for the benefit of the children. For the other people that are rooting against it, we have no understanding
Go to hell.
of why exactly. We have no understanding. But I'm still willing to give many of you the benefit of the doubt of knowing the amount of poor perspectives and information that's being filtered down through certain things. So go see it. Don't take it just for granted, and then you make your own assessment. Because a lot of the heaviest critics about this whole thing, they haven't even seen the movie, and they're just criticizing what can potentially be. That's not understandable. Finally, Disney. Again, we having a conversation about Disney. Very powerful entity. Today, Disney is definitely entering the darkest period of as a company, as an entity, and they are being exposed for so many messages that, as much as the whole business is around children, they are truly being exposed about the many things that are not good for the children. And that's a very unfortunate thing to see. You know what I mean? Disney is a few minutes away from us right now. It's definitely only a few minutes away from my house. One of the reasons when we first relocated to Orlando, because we said it's a family place, I used to make it part of my recruiting slogan for the state of Florida. Listen, we have less taxes, better weather, and we got Mickey Mouse. And literally the other day, the other day, Jose Gaitan, which is one of our business partners, literally said, I don't know if Mickey Mouse is a good selling point anymore. And I'm like, it took me a second, and I'm like, you are 100% right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to replace Mickey Mouse by saying, and we have Donald Trump. All right? So I don't know, some people are going to probably like it less, but some other people will say, you know what, I'm moving to the state of Florida for those reasons. That's the reason why Alexis said, I'm going from New York too. With that being said, we thank you for the kindness of watching this video. Please follow some of the instructions. Go watch the movie.
Like,
and
comment.
Please like, comment.
Share.
We definitely want to hear some of your feedback. If you watched the movie, what was your take about it? And let us know if there's anything else that we can be helping you with on terms of specific topics. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one.